It is recommended the tax rate levy shown below be adopted for the 2018-19 school year. For comparison purposes, the last 2 years' tax rate levies are also shown. So we have those up there on the screen, and we have 15 minutes if we have anyone who would like to talk to the board about this.
Otherwise, we sit here for 15 minutes because we have to allow at least 15 minutes.
Right.
So don't feel obligated to talk, but you're welcome to. Otherwise, we're going to look at each other for 15 minutes.
Okay, 6 o'clock. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm hoping our Boy Scout gentlemen will come up and lead us in that.
And just comment, that's Alex and Justin Vansel from Troop 623, and they are both working on citizenship in the community, moving quickly toward being Eagle Scouts, so thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, that was great. All right, so I need a motion to approve the agenda. I moved. I have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Now I need a motion to adopt the following tax rate levy for the 2018-19 school year. If after validation by the Missouri State Auditor, the tax rate ceiling allowed is less than or greater than the approved rate, the superintendent is hereby authorized to set the final rate for the district as validated by the State of Missouri Auditor.
Move.
I have a motion and a second, and Paul Northington is going to come up here and talk to us. And Dan? Sorry.
Evening. Just wanted to spend a couple of minutes to walk you through the calculation process and talk about how we got to the rates that we're recommending for this school year. Before we really get started, I just want to kind of acknowledge the work that Dan Steinberg does on this. It's a very detailed, comprehensive, and complicated calculation. If you look at the calculation notebook, it's a 3-wing binder that's full. And Dan does great work in this detailed calculation, and just wanted to recognize that as well. Also, just so you know, assuming we approve the rates this evening, tomorrow our communications department will have the updated information on our website to have a Q&A, but also have the calculation tool so our property owners can go in and see what it means to them on an individual basis. That should be up by midday tomorrow. So we get into it just briefly. Why is it necessary to adjust the tax rate? And tax rate's adjusted because of changes in our assessed valuation. And just to kind of put it in a nutshell, when property values go up, it has a tendency to drive property tax rates down. And then when economic times are not as good and property values go down, then it has a tendency to move the tax rate up. This year happens to be a year where we're in the middle ground, where our increase is about 1% because we're in a non-reassessment year. So our increase was between a 0 and the CPI, and the CPI is the Consumer Price Index, and that number this year was determined to be at 2.1%. So anything that would have been above 2.1 would have caused us to maybe lower the tax rate. We didn't get there this year. So basically, the increase in our tax base didn't really have a material effect on changing of the tax levies for this year. The other component is what we call the recoupment part, and I'll kind of walk into that. But what happens if our tax valuations change after we set our rate tonight? In a typical year, we have property owners that protest their values that are too high. So it goes through the Board of Equalization. Typically, they do it in a timely process, and it's part of our normal calculation, but some of these protests go beyond that process and go beyond tonight's and goes out, could span a period of several years and go to the State Board of Education. So those things really require us then, if those appeals are granted, for us to recalculate tax rates in subsequent years, and that process is called recoupment. So how does recoupment work? The county provides us with data throughout the school year as these tax settlements are finalized. We use the state auditor's form to do the recalculation for those adjustments that were granted, and those adjustments can go back as far as 5 to 10 years. So we have to recalculate each of those years that were modified. Then once we determine what that value is, the dollars that were lost because of the adjustments, then we put that in a recoupment calculation. We typically spread that over a 3-year period. Who developed the tax calculation forms and the oversight? And the short answer to that is the Missouri State Auditor's Office. They provide us the forms to use for the calculation. We complete them. Once we've done our initial draft of that, we send it to them for an informal review, which that we've done, and then they send it back to us, says it looks okay, and that's where we are tonight. We're bringing those review forms for Board of Education approval. If the board approves the tax rates this evening, then we will deliver those finalized documents to the county so they can record the tax rates, and then it's forwarded on to the state auditors for finalization and certification. So what factors impact the 2018 calculation? And we talked about it a little bit. One is changes in our assessed valuation. This year, with it being a non-reassessment year, really the only changes we saw were increases in new construction. We saw new construction both on the residential side, which was our primary increase, but we also saw some on the commercial side. If you can see there in the second bullet point, our assessed valuation increased about 1.04%. Our total AV is about $3.7 billion. The increase we saw this year was just under $39 million increase in assessed valuation. The last point to note on there is the bottom is that the county reported us reductions in AV, and these are tax protests to the tune of about $50 million. So that's what's really driving the calculation for this year's tax rate, and you can see that it is equivalent to about 5 cents to the tax rate. So how do tax rates compare from last year to this year? The far left column is 18 rate, and the far right is 19. As you can see, our tax rate ceiling last year was 367. This year it's 371. Our debt service levy has remained the same again this year as it has for several years now at 68 cents. And then if you look at the recoupment calculation, last year was about 15 cents. This year it went up about a penny to 16 cents. So our overall tax rate went from $4.50 last year to $4.55 in round numbers. So a little over a nickel is what we're recommending based on the state auditor's calculation for this current school year. Look at the bottom line there. What does that mean to the homeowner with a average market value of $250? It's $24.89 increase from year to year. The other thing to point out, if you remember last year with being a reassessment year, we had a healthy increase in AV. That actually drove down the tax rate, and last year that calculation was actually a $78 decrease to the homeowner. So we're still not where we were 2 years ago. So the recommended tax rate, you can see what we're recommending for 2019 is a $4.55 and some change on the tax rate. We break it down into our incidental and teachers funds, which are basically our operating funds. Debt service stayed the same, and then a small amount goes in for capital projects. And you can see what those dollars generate, assuming we have a 100% collection rate. And then the last slide is really just a tax rate history of where we are this year in historical perspective for the past 5 years. You can see the 455 is above last year, but it's well below 2 years ago and even below where we were 5 years ago. You can see we've been in that range from about 450 to 470 for several years now. So that's a quick executive summary of the tax rate calculation.
Just to reiterate what Paul said, because I think it's important for folks to know. If you go back, this being our 5th year together, we've passed 2 bond issues, and our tax rate right now is still 17 cents below where it was before we passed 2 bond issues. So that's quite a lot of bang for the buck for our community.
Paul?
Sir.
Houses that have been built after the beginning of the year, such as the subdivision by Six Flags and the new one on the north side of Manchester and Wildwood, Are those taxed on part of a year, or are they taxed as next year?
They're typically taxed when they're done, whether they're at on December 31.
I'm sorry, what?
They're typically taxed when they're fully completed. In, for example, you get your home built in May, that won't hit the tax rolls till the following year when they look at it on December 31. So there's a little lag in that process.
So those that are built, let's say May,
Mm-hmm.
they won't be taxed until the end of next year.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Questions? Comments? Good. All right. So the motion is to adopt the following tax rate levy for the 2018-19 school year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that passes. Next, we have a motion. We need a motion to go into closed session to discuss legal act. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion to go into closed session to discuss legal actions, causes of action, or litigation and personnel.
Moved.
I have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Dole? Dr. Kinder? Dr. Kinder?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Romberg? Yes. Ms. Midyett? Mrs. Mondo?
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, we will be back. All right, so we're back out here, and I need a motion to approve the Board of Education meeting minutes from September 6, 2018.
Move.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that passes. Next, we have Superintendent and Board comments, so we'll turn it over to our Superintendent, Dr. Knost.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
Quick, but we have some really fun things to share. I love saying this number. 42 Rockwood High School students have been chosen as 2018 National Merit Scholarship semifinalists. 42. The National Merit Scholarship Program honors individual students who show exceptional academic ability and potential for success in rigorous college studies. And our congratulations to those Rockwood students. That is really a fabulous number and fabulous representation. Very proud of those kids. Rockwood Valley Middle School students hosted special guests for lunch on Friday, September 14th. Dr. Hedrick said they call it their Heroes Lunch, and every year in honor of September 11, they open their doors and welcome every first responder, present and past military service members, and families of our students to join them to say thank you. The first responders and service members sit at cafeteria tables. They eat lunch and they have conversation with students, and that followed the Patriot Day ceremonies at many of our schools. And we had our crisis planning workshop on Wednesday, September the 12th. Dozens of emergency responders who work within the footprint of Rockwood were here, and joined by our Rockwood administrators, and we also had parents. Attendees shared resources and discussed best practices with our first responders to assist them when responding to possible emergencies in Rockwood schools. And we just simply could not accomplish our mission without their partnership. And I always like to remind people, because we talk about this and we make this mention, and we don't think about it. It doesn't stick in our mind. There's a lot of times people want to say it isn't until a tragedy occurs somewhere in the country that we're talking about safety and security. It's just not true. We're doing it. It's an ongoing topic, and this was a pretty big event, well attended, and very, very valuable to all of us. I'm not going to go into a big, lengthy talk about the champions concept. I think people are starting to understand it. People are hearing about it more and more. We're seeing more and more examples every day. I'm not kidding you. I got another one today. Plus, there's a really cool video from Kerr's Mill floating around that they made. If you haven't seen that, it's really good. Talking about champions. Every kid, our mission to make sure every kid selects a champion, and every kid we know is going to be that much more successful because they know someone is advocating for them in their school life. So we just had much success with our video. It's not very long, and we thought we would share it this evening really quick.
extending a hand and being a champion, being an adult, a ray of light for that child in their school life that, that says, hey, you're not alone. We're here. There may be champions for all kids, but if we aren't going that extra mile to connect that kid with the champion and make sure that the kid is identifying that champion, then it may or may not be happening in their world and in their mind and in their hearts. We have to connect kids. There has to be a human connection. Kids have to feel that. It's not always going to happen on its own.
She's like my best friend. I like spending time with her.
I get to see him in class every other day, and I get to see him in the hallway every day, and he just makes my day.
Oh,
makes
yeah.
my day, don't you, buddy?
Just like
Yeah,
you.
you do. And I like to see Aiden Valentine in Special Olympics. Yes, you're really, yeah. Special Olympics is one of our favorite things.
So, my freshman year, I didn't really have a lot of friends, and I was trying to find myself. In that group, it helped me find myself. It helped me define myself. And you were one of the people that helped me do that.
Relationships, connecting people to other people. Every single child needs to hear these words. Take my hand. Let me be your champion.
To have someone that looked out for me it was a very good feeling. And I really appreciated it because it made me feel like I had something to look forward to in life. And I really appreciate that.
I'll just end by saying that, just in case you're wondering, Darius Rucker and Hootie and the Blowfish gave us permission to use that song, so we're clear. And let me say one other thing. I want to introduce Andrea Dean. Andrea is a former administrator in the district, and I stole her from Rockwood when I was in Melville, and she's been there ever since. Outstanding principal of Beasley Elementary School, and is here tonight doing a little observation. She's also a parent in the district, so we're always glad to have Andrea back. Welcome, Andrea.
Any board comments? We do. So we have a video as well. Jamie, you want to start?
We are going to show you a little video tonight about Rockwood Gives Back. If you haven't heard of that, here's a shirt. We have a very cool team working on some big ideas for our school district to help assist families in ways that go beyond our food pantry program to help schools supplement what they're already doing, that's amazing, and help families in need. So we're kicking it off next Sunday, October 7th, with a 5K run at Lasalle Springs. And yesterday we did a cute little quick video with some kiddos who helped us out to get the word out, and they will inspire you to do a little running after you see this.
Run for Rockwood Kids, October 7th. Rockwood Kids!
So this is really an event for the whole family. Yes, there's a 5K run you can still register for. There's a kids fun run, which is completely free. We have super smokers coming and donating every bit of profit that they make to Rockwood Gives Back. We're involving kids, we're involving staff, we're involving community members, and really our purpose is just to help kids. And so we've been going around to different groups. Today we're at the West County Chamber talking, and you know, there's a need in Rockwood. Everybody needs a little love, a little help from time to time. So that's what this whole thing is about, and it's rewarding work and we're hoping everybody comes out on October 7th. Shelley's going to have a bunch of people to help the kids, give kids activities, and it's just going to be a really, really great event, so I hope people can come out. Any other board comments? All right. So now I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted. A motion is second. Any discussion?
Yes. Got this mine. No.
Dr. Kinder.
Where's it? I don't know where it's at. 9.07, gifts to the school donations. We have 4 this time, outstanding ones. Bowles PTO monetary to reimburse for the 2017-18 field trips. Lafayette Band Boosters monetary $15,000 for the purchase of a new band trailer. Covers the entire cost of the new trailer purchased for the Lafayette Band program. Marquette Parent Organization, other non-monetary, $1,450. School beautification, MPO, Marquette Parent Organization, like to put Marquette graphics outside the school store. It's a continuation of the branding project. And I want to mention, I went by Marquette the other day and looked, and in the front of the school, right across the bridge, was a whole bank of windows. They have that covered with a 30 or 40-foot Mustang, their logo. First time I've seen that. That's amazing. Westridge PTO monetary $6,825. Cover field trips, grades K through 5, 2018-19 school year. Funding for the field trips for all grade levels. I don't know what the donation total is, and Dan will keep us up on that, and we'll let you know. But these are outstanding again. Thank you.
Good, Dr. Kinder. Anyone else on that? All right, so the motion is to approve the consent agenda items as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, it passes. All right, we have some agenda items. First up, we're going to have Executive Director of Early Childhood, Jane Brown, Special Ed 504 Homebound Coordinator, Dr. Jamie Smith, Special School District Director of Special Education, Dr. Carmen Harris, and Special School District Board Director, Dr. Joan Zawitsky, will present. We have a partnership agreement with SSD and Rockwood School District. So, welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us tonight. President Mondel, Vice President Midyet, directors, and Dr. Knost. So everyone sitting up here is very passionate, and we're very passionate about what we're going to talk tonight about, which is the partnership between Special School District and Rockwood. And on the video that we just watched with the champions, there was one statement up there, and it said, "We can do better." And when I saw that tonight, I was like, that connects so much to what we're going to be talking about. But we can do better. We are doing better. We've been hard at work the last few years doing better, and we will do better. And that's our commitment. That's kind of the bottom line. I want to introduce the guest that I have with us tonight, Dr. Jamie Smith. She's our Rockwood Coordinator of Special Ed, Homebound 504. Dr. Carmen Harris, our Special School District Director, and Dr. Joan Zawitsky. And she is a director, as you are, on the SSD School Board, and she represents Rockwood, and she represents Ladue. So I'm going to pass it over to Carmen, who's going to lead us in a few of the highlights of our partnership that we've really been focusing on.
Thank you, Jane. Just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of our special education staffing and our students in the program. We have a little over 450 special education staff members who support our students in Rockwood. And of those individuals that are being supported, about 2,900 students are receiving special education services for us. So it's a large group of individuals that support students every day. In terms of the students that we are servicing, some of this information came through our governing council last week, and I believe Randy may have received that information. So this is showing you a little bit about the population of students that we serve, and you can see that the majority of our students are in that other health impaired, specific learning disability, and speech impairment, and it'll show you the exact percentages as well. We had a number of recognitions last year, and these really go toward the work that we're doing collaboratively, including Rose Award winners, SSD Key to the Classroom nominees, which is our Teacher of the Year award for SSD, as well as SSD Building Block Award winners, and those are for our paraprofessionals. We had 2 Rockwood groups that were recognized, our Dazzler group from Marquette and our Best Buddies from Eureka, for SSD Special Ambassador Awards, as well as Dr. Paul Godwin receiving an award last year. And Dr. Knost and Dr. Counts were able to come and join us at our award banquet, and it was a great night. So along the lines of that partnership, we came last year and spoke a little bit about what the partnership agreement is, and it really is that document that helps to support how we're going to meet special education and technical needs of the students that are participating in St. Louis County. What type of things that we look at are these 10 areas that range everywhere from staffing and professional development to space allocation and career technical education. What's our work looking like in Rockwood? We have a committee that consists of various stakeholders, both in the special and general education setting, for staff and administration who work together collaboratively to identify where are our strengths and where are those areas of growth and potential need that we should focus on as a group. Our current focus is within staffing and career technical education. In the staffing realm, we are finding that our students in meeting their social, emotional, and behavioral needs continues to be an area of improvement and growth for us. And as we look at that, there are two specific areas that we're focused on this year that are associated with the staffing of special and general education. One is the RBIT, which is what we refer to as the Rockwood Behavior Intervention Team. This is a team that consists of a Rockwood staff member and a special school district staff member working collaboratively to meet the needs of kindergarten through 12th grade, whether you have an IEP or not, and working with those teams to build capacity for meeting the needs of all students. We also have a new program called Empower. This is at our middle school level, and it used to be a program that was really in 3 of our middle schools, and students would have to take transportation to move to one of those programs to receive additional support in social emotional programming. Now we've expanded that to all 6 middle schools for this school year. And again, we're supporting students with and without IEPs. Our career technical education, this is actually a goal of us looking at increasing the collaboration with our South Tech High and also increasing our participation of students in our northern area of our region to participate in those technical opportunities. We're also wanting to increase just knowledge of what is it that South Tech has to offer for our students and how are we aligning to the curriculum and opportunities we have in Rockwood that we could expand upon for our students. So these are all of the different types of things that we're doing currently with our partnership agreement, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Kids participating in CTE, they're only limited to South County Tech?
Yes.
That's, even if they live in North St. Louis, they're considered South County Tech.
Right.
And Jake, I'm assuming I like Jake, he's excellent. I think he's doing a good job trying to get more kids from Rockwood. And
We're working with Jake to figure out how to increase that.
we'll try to help him.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
How many students are currently in the Empower program? And can you talk a little bit more about that?
The actual caseload were around 20 students who are participating through an IEP, but the other students that are participating are not necessarily on caseload or may be students receiving direct services. They may be students who we are having an opportunity to speak with their teams about universals in the classroom, supports that can be utilized in the general education setting before having a referral for special education or looking at a potential eligibility area. We're also increasing opportunities for those families to have additional resources. What types of things could we offer for you and for your family to support social, emotional, behavioral needs? So it's really building capacity across all of our buildings and our staff so that we are able to meet those needs without having to pull students out of their general education setting.
What staffing look like? Position of the team?
So right now we have 3 teachers who are providing this service across all 6 of our buildings at the middle school level. So in looking at the comparisons, we've decided on a certain number of staff and a certain number of students that we felt one individual would be able to meet the needs. So we divided them, and we worked with a partnership of general and special education administrators and those staff members to determine how we could meet those needs in 3 individuals versus 6.
The individual in Rockwood.
We have 3 individuals that are empowered teachers, but we have a variety of
teachers, social workers, counselors. What is their role in Rockwood?
Sure. So we've been meeting, actually in the summertime, we had an opportunity to meet with Dr. Terry Harris and have a discussion about what the SEB supports are that we offer throughout Rockwood. Be that a Rockwood social worker, an SSD social worker, our SEB particular situations, our RBIT, and then also our Empower teachers, and how we work together with all of those roles to meet needs.
Who are those teachers in our buildings now? Are they designated?
Yes.
Who are they?
Okay. Sorry. So we have 3 individuals. They're paired in Melissa Hummert, who is at Crestview.
And what's her role in the current district? Is her full-time role as an Empower teacher?
Yes.
Okay, that's my question.
Yes, it is. Melissa Hummert, Lori DeJean, and Latanya Gillum.
Are they functioning more as an more of a coach, or building capacity within the within the classroom, or are they actually providing
Services
direct
to
services
students.
to
Doing
students?
both.
Okay.
So they're providing instruction in social skills and direct services in the special education setting, as well as providing the consultative component. So a little bit of an EPS, effective practice specialist role, paired with a special education teacher role.
And we're combining those individuals with some of the individuals that work with Terry Harris, as Dr. Harris mentioned, Carmen Harris, connecting the general ed and special ed sports together, so we have that team approach, building all adult capacity to really meet those emotional needs of our students.
It's really developing capacity within the staff to work and maintaining the students in the gen ed environment as much as possible.
Dr. Savitsky, how are you tonight? I want you to talk a little bit. No, well, who cares about that?
We do.
How's the board in SSD doing this year?
It's doing great. It's doing great.
How many people are on the board?
There's 7 on the board.
Just like a regular school board?
Yes.
Which you are a regular school board?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
But we actually get elected through the governing council. So,
Not through a vote. It's through a governing council.
right.
Thank you very much for being here tonight.
No problem.
Randy and I are on the government, we alternate with the governing council. So
What?
we just went through an election process.
Look into that, 'cause
We just
Dr.
went
Kane-
through an election process back in March to select the new members as their term expired, and it's a little different process.
What?
It's a little different process.
Different process than how we got elected. Yeah. I always enjoy you ladies coming and giving us updates. Really, very, very good. So, thank you.
As we conclude, I would like to ask, each year at this time, we like to bring forward the resolution designating October as Disability History and Awareness Month. In the state of Missouri, that is October, so we have that resolution. I believe it's on the board.
Yep, so that's the next thing. I need a motion to continue to recognize the month of October as Disability and History Awareness Month as outlined in Missouri House Bill 555.
So moved.
So we have a motion, a second, and now Lynn Midget is going to read that proclamation.
Thank you.
Resolution designating the month of October of every year as Disability History and Awareness Month, and encouraging our schools to provide instruction on disability history, people with disabilities, and the disabilities rights movement. Whereas there are approximately 129,000 students with disabilities educated by Missouri Public Schools, and whereas the American with Disabilities Act of 1990 is founded on 4 principles: inclusion, full participation, economic self-sufficiency, and equality of opportunity for all people with disabilities. And whereas a key method of promoting these 4 principles is for our schools to recognize the contributions by people with disabilities to our society and provide instruction in disability history, people with disabilities, and the disabilities rights movement through school curriculum, school assemblies, and other school activities. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the school board of the Rockwood School District that the board urges our schools to provide intensive instruction on disability history, people with disabilities, and the disabilities rights movement, especially during the month of October, and periodically throughout the school year, and encourages other institutions to conduct and promote educational activities on those subjects. Approved by the Rockwood Board of Education.
The motion was to approve that proclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes. Thank
I
you.
do have one other question. Of the 129,000 students in the state of Missouri, How many does SSD serve in St. Louis County?
I believe it's right around 24,000,
Good.
give or take 1,000.
Almost 9%, 8%. Yeah.
It's a large number.
I was going to say.
15%.
But actually, we don't educate them. We all do. So.
Yes. Thank you.
Well said. Very good. Thank you.
You
All right, next we have a Parents as Teachers program update. So Dr. Jane Brown is going to stay along with Parents as Teachers Supervisor Stephanie Kane. So they're going to give us a program update. Welcome.
Thank you. This is Stephanie Kane. I think this might be the first time that the board has had an opportunity to meet Stephanie. We were thrilled to replace a very long-standing and exceptional leader in Parents as Teachers with who was Diane McKinney, many of you knew, with Stephanie Kane. Stephanie has been a parent educator in our school district for 11 years. And she has been a lead parent educator, so she's had some additional responsibilities of oversight of some of our parent educators while Diane was here. And additionally, she has 7 years of special education experience, both in Columbia Public Schools and in special school district. Not only does she work for us, but she works for the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, training parents as teachers, educators, and also supporting coordinators within the state as they are working to improve their program. So I'm really honored tonight to be able to introduce you to Stephanie, and Stephanie is going to tell us a little bit about the current status of Parents as Teachers here in Rockwood.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jane, and thank you, members of the board, for your time this evening, and for I'm just really excited to be the supervisor of this invaluable program and to share a little bit with you this evening. See if I can figure this out. Good. So Parents as Teachers, we have 4 primary goals, as you can see. Increasing parent knowledge, early detection of developmental delays, prevent child abuse and neglect, and increase school readiness. So how do we go about achieving those goals? I'd like to share a little bit about that now. You'll see the components on the screen. The heart of our program is the personal home visit. And so a certified parent educator will go into the home and implement a research-based curriculum. They partner with the family to share child development information, discuss different parenting topics, and focus on family well-being. We are excited here in Rockwood that we have universal access, which means that all families in our program or in our district with a child under the age of 3 can receive home visits and participate in our program. You will see on average we serve 1,200 families per year in the district. 21 part-time parent educators and myself make roughly 5,000 home visits per school year. In terms of screening, which is another component of our program, we make roughly 2,300 screenings per year for children 3 months of age up until kindergarten entry. We are fortunate our screening team partners with and goes to over 30 off-site preschools and daycares to provide these screenings. We also partner with Los Vincinos to provide services for Spanish-speaking families in the Chesterfield Mobile Home Park, and with the Stratford Inn for families with temporary housing. We also have another component of our program, Group Connections, and I just want to share a few photos with you this evening. A group connection is an opportunity for parents to learn more and increase their knowledge of child development and to connect with others in the district. This is a photo of a parent-only group connection, Love and Logic, where families are learning discipline tools and strategies. We've got a little one at our Hurry, Hurry, Drive the Fire Truck group connection at the Safety House. Through our group connections, we're able to partner with many outside agencies. Just 2 weeks ago, we had our annual vehicle day at Wildwood Community College and had over 600 people who came and over 25 different types of vehicles. The biggest hit was when the helicopter landed and they got to climb on board and go through. This is a grandma and her grandson at our Bedtime Stories and Songs group connections promoting language development. And then we've got this little guy at Crazy Crawlers Wacky Walkers to promote gross motor skills. And these little ladies at that same event, social emotional development happening. Last January, we had our first STEM group connection, and over 100 families were in attendance. This mom is reading to her baby at one of our events. We're very fortunate through donations and grants from our PTO, the VJ Mancuso Fund, and the Lions Club to be able to provide a new high-quality children's book to every new family in our program, because we know how important literacy is. And here we have a father and his infant at our infant massage group Connection. We know that the first 2 years of life are critical for building that attachment and are necessary for all later learning. Now I'd like, so why PAT? It's a very smart investment because we know how much brain growth is happening in those first 3 years of life. Also wanted to talk about that return on investment. Numerous economic studies tell us that for every dollar invested in early learning programs, such as Parents as Teachers, there is a return of over $7 or more decreased need for special education remedial services. Huge in terms of family support. We've talked about champions, and we feel that we play a role in helping not only these children, but their parents to become champions for their children. And we know that parents are their child's first and most important teacher, and we're there to support them and help them. I want to share just a few faces with you. This is Anna. I have been working with her family since 2009, and when she was 2.5 years old, we did the health, hearing, and vision screening, and during the visual acuity portion, she could not see distant objects, and as a result, Mom and Dad took her to the doctor, and she was diagnosed with astigmatism and received glasses, and that was something that they were completely unaware of. They now have another little guy, and they are vigilant about making sure that his vision is checked frequently. Now I'd like to introduce you to Stephen and his daughter, and I want to share a quote from Stephen. Parents as Teachers is an extraordinary program. Being a full-time single father, the program provides a remarkable outlet to better interact with and better guide my daughter during these formative years. Leslie, their parent educator, is a blessing to us, and the activities brought are incorporated into our daily lives. I can't speak highly enough as to the importance of this program. I thank you for the compassion, involvement, and dedication in the development of my daughter. And lastly, I'd like to introduce you to Kelly and her husband and their little one. And I was at the West County Baby Expo in Queenie Park in early August promoting the Parents as Teachers program. And Kelly came up and introduced herself, knowing that I was the new supervisor, and raved about the program, and she shared the following. PAT has been a complete blessing to our family. We look forward to every visit with Trish. When you're at the pediatrician's office, you don't get a chance to really sit down and ask those questions that you'd like to. We are first-time parents. Being able to ask Trish questions about our baby boy's development, have meaningful conversations about how he's growing and learning, and gaining knowledge about activities and tools is so rewarding. It's the best program, and I recommend it for all parents. I'm so thankful to this program and what it's done for my family that I've decided to give back recently by joining the Early Childhood PTO as Vice President. Anything I can do to say thank you is what I'm willing to do. Studies show that when families participate in Parents as Teachers, they're more active in their child's schooling, and Kelly's story is a clear example of that. So Parents as Teachers started here in St. Louis over 30 years ago and has spread to all the states and several countries. But here in Missouri, it's a partnership. So National Center provides us with our research-based curriculum, and then DESE is our funding source, and they also provide us with our manual and guidelines. And then Rockwood School District, we implement best practices and determine what's best for our families, and we are so grateful to, that the district provides additional funding for our program so that we can reach all families. I feel very, very passionately about this program, and I want to thank you for your time this evening. I would also encourage you to like us on our Facebook page. We have over 900 followers. And I would also like to extend an invitation to each of you to join us on a home visit so you can see firsthand the work that we do. And we realize as parent educators of these small children that we are often their family's first introduction to the Rockwood School District, and that is not a responsibility we take lightly. Thank you, and do you have any questions?
How many families do you currently see?
Our whole program, we average each year about 1,200. Right now, the most recent invoice report showed 755, and that just keeps increasing. We get calls daily.
And it's by invitation. They have to call you.
Uh-huh.
You don't solicit or go to them and say, can we come into your home?
Well, it's a free and voluntary program, but it spreads through word of mouth, and we are always promoting it.
Tell me what universal access means.
It means that all families can participate in the program if they would like to. In some other districts, it may just be for an extremely high needs population.
Last night, Dr. Knos pointed out that since our last strategic plan was written, that we've increased, because the board has approved it, our number of parent educators. So we're able to have enough parent educators to be able to not turn anybody down. So everyone is welcome.
I feel very fortunate that we do have universal access in the Rockwood School District, because this is a benefit to all families, and I think it's just, I'm very much in support of making sure that continues.
You're fully staffed, correct?
We are.
Good. Excellent.
Thank you.
I have two questions, quick ones. You said 1,200 participants, families. Out of how many possible would be eligible?
That is a great question that I don't know the answer to. And I can look, though. That would have, looking at different records of the number of children born within the district, and that is something I have not accessed yet.
Best guess would to take like a typical number of students in like a kindergarten class and then multiply that for the kids that are 1 to 3. Yeah.
The other question, where are you based? Are you based at every elementary school, or are you based at the Crestview campus and the Stanton campus, or what?
We are based out of the early childhood centers.
That's what I meant, the Early Childhood Center.
Uh-huh.
Not in Stanton? Not Stanton?
So all of the parent educators, we have our meetings at the Early Childhood Center, and that's kind of our home base, but really they all work outside of their own homes, and we serve families all across the district.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So, what a happy board meeting. And I'll tell you, the excitement that you have for your position and loving kids is just like overflowing. It's really, I'm not saying we all don't feel that way, but you just seem so passionate, which is really great to see, because that early childhood piece, we rarely talk about the early childhood piece. We talk about our National Merit Scholars, we talk about our elementary kids, middle school, but this is just as important, if not more important. So,
it's extremely important.
Thank you. Very
And
good.
Stephanie, you're welcome to come back anytime, and you can bring Jane with you if you want to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next, can we pull up our proposed agenda for next week, October 4th, which is our next Board of Education meeting, please? Anything stand out on there?
Just to point out that we are intentionally keeping that meeting also very, very light. I'll be in touch with you, Morley, as president, just about as we get closer in regards to our closed session needs. We may propose an earlier start, or I think we'll need closed session, but maybe a shorter closed session or something of the sort. We have schools being recognized for their character education, national recognition for character education in D.C., and we had the same issue last year, but I fly out later that evening, so if we can keep things short so I can actually make the plane on time, that would probably be a good thing.
Would be a good thing.
If not, last year Matt just told me to not show up because he drove in and the traffic was so bad, he called me, he said, just don't come.
Meeting is actually next Thursday.
Right.
So this is going to get posted tomorrow. The
Well,
agenda.
right, but we can adjust the time up until
Yeah,
the
until-
24-hour mark, and
yeah.
we won't wait that long, but just as we see things early next week, we'll finalize.
Okay.
Which school is this getting third time around on character ed? Chesterfield?
Yes, yes.
That's the only school in the state, isn't
That
it?
has had national 3 times.
Only one nationally. Good.
All right, anything else on that agenda? All right, future agenda presentations and events to attend. 3 of us are going down to give a presentation tomorrow morning for our MSBA award. October 7th, we already talked about Rockwood Gives Back. Anything else?
Presentation posted, or is it going to be posted where everyone can get to it?
It's right here, right now. Yes.
I think you probably need that for tomorrow.
Yes, I have to remember that for tomorrow. They're right there. Yes, it will be posted right on the MSBA website.
MSBA is going to be posting it, and then
Yep. And then the other thing that, if there's nothing else, I just want to mention that I had talked to Deb. I don't know where she is now, but I know when I first got on the board, we were. Where is she? Oh. Okay. Wizard. That was kind of weird. Wake up. We are going to offer, the district's going to offer every board member a laptop for their use to prepare for meetings or whatever else. I know Matt has his iPad, so perhaps Matt doesn't really want a computer, but if you do, talk to Deb and she'll get us set up for the next one. Okay? Anything else? All right, we'll adjourn the meeting.